This man's 5-minute brainstorming session before a meeting grew into a 30-year institution that changed the face of animation, TV comedy, even the English language.
Me fail English? That's impossible.
And that was only the beginning. This is the evolution of Matt Groening. Born in Portland, Oregon, Groening's early life inspired the world he'd later create. His family provided first names for The Simpsons, and local streets like Flanders, Lovejoy, and Manhattan would fill out the supporting cast of Springfield. He began his cartooning career at the campus newspaper of Evergreen State College before moving to Los Angeles at the age of 23 to kickstart a writing career. Like many struggling artists, he worked a series of odd jobs like bussing tables, washing dishes, and chauffeuring a 93-year-old retired director. He eventually landed a gig as a clerk in a record store where he came up with his first creation, Life in Hell. Beginning in 1977, Groening self-published a series of comic books starring anthropomorphic rabbits trying to make sense of living in LA. The cynical slice-of-life strips were an instant hit with disillusioned baby boomers, and it began appearing in local avant-garde magazines and alternative weeklies in 1980. The comics give a glimpse into Groening's sardonic sensibilities, his undeniable attitude, and his progressive politics, featuring a gay couple named Akbar and Jeff in an age where LGBTQ+ characters were kept far away from the comics pages. Even after his success in television, Groening continued to write and draw Life in Hell until finally ending the strip in 2012. The comic has never been adapted to TV, but it did lead directly to The Simpsons. Producer James L. Brooks was looking for short animated bumpers to fill time on The Tracy Ullman Show, a variety series he was working on with Fox. A fan of Life in Hell, Brooks contacted Groening to see if he was interested in adapting his rabbit characters for the small screen. But Groening had a pretty good gig going with his comics and wasn't willing to give up his baby for an untested show.
Yes, the Simpsons have come a long way since an old drunk made humans out of his rabbit characters to pay off his gambling debts.
So instead, in the waiting room for the pitch meeting, he whipped up a dysfunctional family based on his own. Groening wrote and storyboarded the crude original shorts.
They don't like it, Dad. She's right, Homer.
Ah, come on. Where's your sense of humor?
Woo!
And when they proved popular, Brooks and producer Sam Simon decided to spin off The Simpsons into their own series. A primetime animated comedy hadn't succeeded since the Flintstones.
Simpson, Homer Simpson, he's the greatest guy in history.
And nobody was expecting much out of Groening's ugly, yellow characters. But thanks to some phenomenal writers and a clause in their contract that ensured no network interference, The Simpsons was able to break down barriers and become a national phenomenon. Groening had some early writing credits on the series, but he eventually took a more hands-off approach, and his role in the show diminished further as he had to divide his attention between our favorite family and his all-new creation, 1999's Futurama. After The Simpsons' success, Fox came to Groening basically begging for another show. He joined forces with writer David X. Cohen and began brainstorming ideas for a sci-fi spoof. They devoured decades worth of science fiction for research, and after 2 years, they were ready to unleash their new show on the world just in time for the new millennium.
Here's to another lousy millennium.
Early on, Groening was met with a lot of network meddling. They thought the show was too smart and too weird, and they had big problems with concepts like alien lobsters, foul-mouthed robots,
bite my shiny metal ass,
and especially suicide booths.
Please select mode of death.
Bring it on,
Quick and
baby!
painless, or slow and horrible.
Groening fought for and eventually received the same independence he had with The Simpsons, but Futurama's struggles were far from over. Fox never fully committed to the nerdy niche show. It was constantly shuffled around the schedule and preempted for sports, making it impossible to grow a solid audience. The show ceased production midway through its 4th season, but reruns airing on Adult Swim sparked a cult following that convinced Comedy Central to revive the show in 2006, with 4 direct-to-DVD films and all new seasons starting in 2010. After several series finales, Futurama finally ended, for now, in 2013.
What do you say? Want to go around again?
Groening returned to The Simpsons along with his other interests, publishing comics under his own Bongo brand, and playing drums in the Rock Bottom Remainders, a supergroup cover band made of famous authors like Stephen King and Amy Tan. TV remains his primary focus though, and Groening is already hard at work on his newest creation, a Netflix fantasy series called Disenchantment.
I'm not so bad.
Well, you did kill that one guy.
I'd be fine if someone could just slide my head up a bit.
Together with former Simpsons showrunners Bill Oakley and Josh Weinstein, Disenchantment is Groening's attempt to do for fantasy what Futurama did for sci-fi, and The Simpsons did for the sitcom. Groening's signature aesthetic is front and center, though in a career first, his main characters have been designed with 5 fingers. In a post-Game of Thrones world, Disenchantment is looking to put the fun back in fantasy, and give Matt Groening another chance to make his mark on animation. There have been arguments that Groening gets too much credit when it comes to his shows, and while it's true that he hasn't drawn every single frame or written every single episode, his simple style, cynical humor, and eye for talent cannot be argued. Matt Groening's name is front and center on 2 of the most important shows in modern comedy, and with Disenchantment, he's going for the hat trick.